I want to say good morning, everybody. As I look out my window today, I think it's a great morning to talk about baseball, right? Yeah, exactly the opposite weather that we would have hoped to have seen as we look forward to our 2022 WooSox season. But here we are. I hope so many of you are home, safe, sound, hunkered down, and ready to talk some WooSox. We've got an exciting session coming up for you right now. We're going to meet the entire coaching staff for the 2022 WooSox season, including our new manager, who we're going to bring on in just a few moments. I'll have an opportunity to ask him a few questions, and then later on, you'll have some questions that you can submit through the chat function of your Zoom. If you write in a question, we're going to select some that you write and get those to Chad, and then also ask some of those to the other coaching staff members that are going to join us as well. So you'll have your opportunity to get your voice into this session as well. Wanted to just talk about the little elephant in the room, which of course is the Major League Baseball lockout that we're going through these days. Now, as we get ready for our minor league season, that is a full go. We're ready to start on time in the beginning of April, regardless of what happens with the Major League Baseball negotiations. One thing that does impact is Chad's ability and the rest of the coaching staff's ability to talk about several of the players. However, they will have plenty of WooSox talented prospects or Red Sox prospects who may very well be playing at Polar Park coming up next season. They'll have plenty to talk about here as we get the coaching staff on our show. I think I have rambled long enough, so we're going to bring on our new manager in just a few moments. But before we do, we put together this introductory video to say hello and to welcome our new manager, Chad Tracy. Let's take a look. Let's roll the video.
Hi, it's Charles Steinberg, welcoming you warmly to the wonderful world of Worcester. Chad Tracy.
Hey Chad, Dan Ray here.
Hey Skip, Alex Richardson here from the WooSox Foundation.
Hey, what's going on, Skip? This is John Schreiber.
Hey Chad, I've been given a chance to take a minute or two to formally congratulate you on being named the manager of the Worcester Red Sox, Boston's AAA affiliate. Mom and I are extremely proud.
Hey Chad, we just wanted to jump on here and let you know how proud of you that we are.
I love that you're a baseball lifer. You've been all over the place, all over the country, and now you're going to get to see really good baseball with really good baseball fans at Polar Park.
Just wanted to welcome you to the Boston Red Sox organization.
We just want to welcome you to the family here in Worcester, and there's a lot of different charitable endeavors that we're going to be doing, programming initiatives, and we're excited to have you partake in it.
I know you've heard that old cliche that applies to any walk of life, including baseball, that when one door closes, another has an opportunity to open if you've built a good reputation for yourself. That you have done. Over the last 16 years that you've been involved in professional baseball, you've done nothing but put your best foot forward in any undertaking that they've asked you to do.
My husband is way too humble to admit it, but I truly think he's one of the best guys in baseball, on and off the field. Chad, you handle everything you're given just with so much grace, and your players and coaches gravitate towards the leader you are.
I think there's a lot of cool things here that the city has to offer, and we're excited to change lives one day at a time.
You've been given another chance. My suggestion to you would be to put your best foot forward on this one and create an environment where everyone around you has a chance to be better. Your players, your staff, the front office people that you interact with from day to day will be rooting, will be following, and we'll be hoping for the best.
As we are so fortunate to be part of the WooSox organization, I feel like they are to be considered so lucky as well to have you in their organization in that dugout leading them.
Wanted to welcome you and your family to Worcester. We're looking forward to having you here this year. A great 2022 season, and really looking forward to having you lead the charge and be with us this summer. See you in a little bit.
My friends Smiley Ball and Worcester want to let you know they're psyched to cheer for you this year, and they want to say welcome to Worcester.
We welcome you to the heart of the Commonwealth.
Welcome, Skip.
I'm sure we're all excited for the upcoming season, so I'm excited to get to work and let's win some ball games.
Good luck, Chad.
We hope you and your staff and your players have nothing but the best this 2022 season. And the three of us will be your guys' biggest cheerleaders along the way.
Go WooSox! Go WooSox! We love you, best dad ever! We love you, best dad ever!
All right. Well, without further ado, it's time to welcome on to our panel here, the best dad ever, Chad. Welcome to our show. Are you with us, Chad?
I'm here. Can you hear me is the question.
I've got you. Hey, it's great to have you on with us. What was your reaction to that?
That's incredible. I thank you, first of all, for whoever. I know I'm trying to figure out who had their hand in that. I know Bill Wanless and Dan probably did, but that was really, really, really cool to see, my family on there and also some players and Dr. Steinberg and people from across the entire front office. Man, that was neat, and it fits the bill of how I felt up to this point, which is very welcomed.
Let me ask you, just to start things off and by way of introduction, you're from a baseball family. You're a lifer. What has family meant to you as you've moved throughout your career in baseball to get to this point?
Means everything. From a very young age, I was surrounded by it. I've told the story a lot, that I can remember being my earliest memory 2 or 3 years old and dragging a wiffle ball bat around minor league fields. So I've been around it my entire life, and really, we had to stick together. There was times as you went through that, and my kids are learning that now, that, we're at different places all the time. We moved homes a lot, to different cities. And the one constant was family, my mom and dad, my brothers, and we were all very close. We still are to this day. And it's important to have that kind of support system around you.
I think that it would be interesting for everybody watching to hear a little bit about your backstory as a player and then getting into the coaching ranks. Obviously, the career that you had was very impressive. You got to the highest level of the minor leagues, and then you said, you know what? I want to be a guy who teaches. I want to move into the player development side of things. Talk about your journey, if you would, Skipper, to get to the point where you've been entrusted by the Red Sox to manage their highest farm club.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. I'll go quickly through it, but I'll start in college. The movement, I actually grew up in Florida, in Sarasota. So I'm, familiar with Fort Myers, where we train and everything, which is great. Moved to California, which is where I did my college. I went to Pepperdine University for 3 years and was drafted as a junior out of Pepperdine, and started my professional career in 2006 as a member of the Texas Rangers, which is where I spent the bulk of my time as a player, going through their minor league system. About six or 7 years there, and then was traded to the Rockies. Spent a year in Colorado's system, signed as a free agent with the Royals, spent half a year, 3/4 of a year there. And a lot of the tail end of the Rangers, Rockies, Royals was, like you said, it was the AAA level where I was really, I could smell the coffee. I was trying like crazy to get there. And then I went to camp in 1 year with the Royals, or with the Baltimore Orioles. Didn't quite get out of camp with them. I finished my career with a couple years of independent ball as a player. At that point, I was 28, 20, I think I was 29. My shoulder was killing me. It had been hurting me for a while. I could still hit, but I was married. I had a baby on the way. My first child, Avery, was on the way. And I just had to, like a lot of people, look in the mirror and kind of assess, where am I going with this? I'm on the backside, the other side of my prime as far as age is concerned. So I had an opportunity to jump into managing with the Angels. There were some people that brought me up as a player with the Rangers that had moved on to the Angels, coaches and directors and things like that. I actually turned it down the 1 year, and then at the end of 2014, jumped on it and started managing, like you said, and always during my playing career felt strongly that as I was going through it, then whenever I was done, I was going to want to give back. got so much to offer. I've been around the game for a long time, and I was like, I'm going to want to coach when I'm done. So I was very blessed and fortunate to get that opportunity that quickly and to jump straight into managing, which I did for 3 years, one at the low A level, 2 more years at the high A level. And then after that season became the field coordinator for the Angels and spent the last 4 years as their minor league field coordinator. And that takes us to where we are right now, sitting on this call.
All right. So then the Red Sox opportunity came about this offseason. I'm curious, as an outsider, what were your opinions of the Red Sox and the way that they operated? And maybe then why did that draw you to this opening?
Well, my opinion is it was first class. It was incredible. Mainly because I feel, the number of people I got to connect with throughout the organization. As you go through, also it wasn't a short process. They dotted their I's, crossed their T's, which was impressive to me. The number of people I talked to across different departments. So being able to connect with that many people and you go through it for that length of time, you kind of start to feel like, man, I'm getting to know these people a little bit. And this is, being done with not just the AAA manager in mind, but like, they care about me and, getting me in a good spot. And so the length of the process, the number of people, and Brian Abraham, the director, I spoke with him, probably the most, but connected with, people, a lot of people around the front office. It just became very apparent to me as I was going through it, like this seems like this would be an incredible place to work.
We're going to get to some of the viewer submitted questions in just a moment here. And folks, as a reminder, if you write into the chat in the Zoom chat function, you can write in a question, and we're going to be selecting some of those that you have submitted in just a few. I have one more before we get to that. And I guess it's kind of a multifaceted question, but as you get ready to manage at the AAA level for the first time, there are so many different aspects of it. You're dealing with guys that are going to get promoted to the major leagues for the first time. You're going to deal with guys who have been optioned down, who may feel frustrated about that. There are so many other dynamics that go into the AAA level, as I'm sure you well know, having played there. How have you been preparing to deal with those different aspects of managing at this level of baseball?
Well, I think the best way to answer that is I feel like I've been preparing for that for 16 years in a lot of ways. And you said it best. I think the best preparation was, no, I haven't managed there, but baseball is baseball strategically, right? It doesn't matter if you're an A ball, you still got to be prepared and all that. But you're right about the AAA level. And fortunately for me, I spent 4 years grinding away at that level, and I have been that player. That all the ones you just described. I was the one that was, really, really trying to make it and get to the big leagues for the first time and get that opportunity. Didn't quite get there. But to answer your question, the stresses, anxieties that come with that, when you've lived a dream that long, you're trying to achieve it. Been there, stayed up and stared at the ceiling till 3 a.m. because I couldn't get a hit for a week, and you feel it and you taste it, you're that close. So I've been there. I know what it's like. And I think I'll lean heavily on that experience as a player and the being the one that was trying to achieve what they're trying to achieve. And I'll have a lot of compassion for them as far as knowing what they're going through. I'm very compassionate, sensitive to the things that I know will be going through their head as they're trying to achieve it. And I'm just going to lean on that knowledge heavily.
Where are you coming to us from today, by the way?
I'm in just north of Cincinnati. I think I'm showing like 11 degrees right now. So we're awfully cold. We got 3 or 4 inches of snow, not nearly what I think you guys are scheduled to get today. And I think it's maybe worked out because if we had done this in person, I would have either not gotten on the plane, or if I'd have made it, I probably would have got stuck in Worcester and not been able to get home because I'm hearing you guys are getting some awful weather.
We're dealing with our bomb cyclone this morning. Yeah. So this is a great way to spend the morning while we're all snowed in. All right, yeah. Without further ado, I'm gonna get to some of the questions that have been submitted by the people that are watching our panel. And let's go. I'm gonna go right down the line, and we'll go a little rapid fire if we can, Chad. First one. This is kind of breaking news that came out over the last couple of weeks with Major League Baseball announcing that they are going to have some of the Aaa teams use the quote unquote robot umpires this season. What are your thoughts? What do you think about that?
Well, I think my thoughts remain to be seen. I've never, I've seen maybe briefly a couple years ago when I was the field coordinator, and I visited the fall league, and I think they were using it for a game there. That particular game, it seemed to go okay. I think I probably have the same questions that a lot of people do as far as how quick is the turnaround from them telling him it's a strike to them actually calling it, and is there going to be glitches with it? Like, that's all stuff that I just don't know yet because I haven't seen it in action enough. Certainly I'm like most people, I'm a proponent of getting it right, whenever possible. And so I'm going to withhold judgment. I hate to do that on the very first question, but I'm going to withhold judgment until I see it in action. I can tell you that I do appreciate, having gone through the years playing, I appreciate what umpires do. My career was involved in getting to know who umpires were. You knew certain guys were low ball umpires or high ball umpires, or that you just it was part of a piece of the puzzle, as far as your preparation was concerned. That being said, I know that there's a big push to make it to where it's not like that, where it's the same strike zone every single time a guy steps in the box. So I'm anxious to see how it goes, and I'll reserve judgment until we watch it for a little while.
And we're going to reserve setting an over/under on your number of ejections in your first season for a while too.
Well, an automatic strike zone eliminates a lot of the opportunities. That's usually where some of them come from, is displeasure with the strike zone. So you might want to lower the over/under, I guess, a little bit.
All right, next question. This is an interesting one. If you could manage one player in the history of baseball, who would it be?
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, there's so many. Man, that's a good question. I would say, I'm going to say, keeps popping in my head, I'm just going to go with it. Ken Griffey Jr. would have been cool. I remember as a young kid growing up, most kids, it's the kid, right? I had his cleats and stuff. So that would have been first class dude. It seems like that'd have been a neat thing.
I love it. All right, we have a whole bunch of questions. I saw one come in about Franchy Cordero. Let me see if I can pull this up right here. You know what? As I look for it, there are certain players I know you can and cannot talk about.
Yeah.
So there was a couple that were about Tristan Casas, Franchy Cordero. Instead of me getting to specific players, maybe you can just give us a general rundown about how you're preparing to manage this roster, whatever it might look like in the end of the day.
That's great. I was actually thinking in my head as you said that name, I was like, is he on the 40? I got to be careful with that. But no, that's good. I think right now, I'm spending a lot of time in the evening. I have 2 kids, which everybody knows and just saw. It was amazing, but they keep me busy for sure. But then in the evenings I sit down and we have a lot of internal stuff. The Red Sox have internal databases and information that they have that I'm learning, obviously coming from a different organization. We have some new internal stuff that we can find information. So I'm really combing through all of that stuff, and have a good idea of who was on the roster last year, who potentially could be on the roster this year. Although you want to be careful with that too, because these guys, probably most of them are going to big league camp and they probably don't want to hear from the AAA manager right now. They want to try to make the big league team. And that's the goal. So I'm sensitive to that. I don't want to just assume guys are going to be in AAA. They might be big leaguers. So, but I am kind of all inclusively looking through the people we had or that could be there and just familiarizing myself as much as possible as to who they are, as baseball players. I want to get to know them as people. That's really important, actually, people first. But right now I can't do that until I meet them. But right now I can get to know them as baseball players, from the pitching side, what's his arm slot look like? What kind of metrics does he have? Is the ball on the ground? Does he put the ball on the ground a lot? Does he generate swing and miss? Do they chase something? Does he have a secondary pitch that's above average or elite? So things like that, on the hitting side, Is this a power speed guy? Does he swing and miss a lot? Knowing that type of information. Does he put the ball in play a lot? Is this a hit and run candidate? Anything I can find right now, and really it's still kind of jumbled in there because it's easier when you put a face to what you're reading, and that'll come in spring training. But as much of that information as I can read right now, just to kind of get an idea of who these guys are as baseball players, that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Well, we've got some special guests who are about to join us. They are the entirety of your coaching staff that's going to be joining you on the bench with the WooSox this season. Have you gotten to, Chad, have you gotten to spend time in person with these folks yet, or are we still waiting for that to happen? Hopefully
no, not with, with the number, with, me being hired not till December, and there hasn't been a ton of events going on. We have spoken on the phone a couple times each. We have a text thread going. So, things like this, we're in communication on what's going on or getting ready for spring and whatnot. So I've talked to all of them. I've had incredible conversations, and I'm pumped to work with them. Really, they've been awesome. When you come to a new organization, has its challenges. It still does. I'm going to go to spring. I don't really know who a lot of people are, and I'm trying to get familiar with people in the front office and the other coaches and whatnot. And these guys have been as welcoming as any, and I can't wait to work with them.
All right, well, let's bring them on here. First, I'm going to introduce another new member of the Red Sox coaching staff this year, and he is coming to us via the Caribbean World Series, and this represents Team Puerto Rico. Here is Jose Flores, all the way from much warmer climates this morning. Jose, welcome.
Thanks for having me, and I hope you guys are trying to stay warm over there in Boston for sure. It's 85 degrees here and keeps them getting a little bit warmer. So,
welcome, Jose. Now
I'm going to apologize from the get-go because we're here at the hotel lobby in Dominican Republic, and there's a little bit of noise in the background. So this is the only place where I got Wi-Fi. So trying to get this thing and join you guys.
You sound loud and clear. So we appreciate having you. I think we just saw our hitting coach and Worcester hero through and through. Rich Gedman is on with us as well. Welcome back, Geddy. How are you?
I'm well, Josh. How you doing?
It's great to see you as always. We'll get to some questions for you in a moment. You've got your assistant hitting coach, Mike Montville, joining us from the same cold climates up here in New England. Mike, welcome, and I hope you've had a good offseason so far.
Wow, good to see you guys.
Welcome back, Mike, to a second season on the WooSox coaching staff. And all the way out from the West Coast, he got up nice and early here on a Saturday morning to join us here for this session. Welcome back, our terrific pitching coach, Paul Abbot. Hey, Abby.
Hey, good to see everybody on here. But Chad, you said incredible conversations. Did you talk to Montville yet?
I did.
I see his response and excitement to be on here. I could tell that conversation was extremely incredible.
Oh, man. Thanks for getting on so early, Abby. God love you.
My pleasure. Hey, you know what? That's what coffee's for. It's my coffee time.
So we've got a lot of questions, obviously, that we can get to. I'm going to start with you, Jose, just because you are currently actively working. And I think it'd be interesting to hear about what your experience is like right now at the Caribbean World Series.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is now as a coach, my seventh Caribbean World Series. Every year is it's a different one, but it gets nicer and nicer. I know that we're going through a pandemic here in Dominican as well. So, people is being very cautious and careful about how we spend time outside and how we, spend time with fans and just, the way things are going right now. We're just trying to keep it safe, but good quality baseball. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how passionate fans are in the Caribbean as far as baseball goes. Baseball is the #1 sport here in the Caribbean. And tonight's going to be a really good one because we play Dominican Republic. We got beat yesterday 3-2. In the very last inning, our bullpen wasn't able to hold the lead. But I think we got a really decent shot of making it to the finals. So top 4 teams make it to the semis. And hopefully tonight we start our winning streak.
We wish you the best of luck. Have you been to Worcester ever?
Not really, but I've seen plenty of pictures so far, and from what I've seen, brand new ballpark. It's absolutely gorgeous. Very excited. I'm pretty sure Chad is as well, and the entire staff, and looking forward to going over there and visit and spending time with the Worcester people.
Well, from the two newcomers, from Chad and from Jose, let's turn our attention to some of the old grizzled veterans of Polar Park. And Getty, I want to welcome you back on. How was the experience, I wonder, for you, as you've had a few months now to take a look in retrospect of the first year getting to coach in a new ballpark in your hometown? Have you reflected on it and what it was like for you now as you look back at that first season?
And looking back at the first season, it's really hard to believe that there's a stadium located where it is in Worcester. Walking by there so many times as a kid, I never thought I'd see what is a major league stadium, not a minor league stadium, in Worcester, Mass. And more than that, how the people of the Worcester area have taken to it and supported the team in just a short period of time. And I think a lot of that goes to the credit of the people that put it together. They really did a good job with it, and it's one of the the finer stadiums that, or the newer finer stadiums that anybody would want to be a part of. It's pretty special.
Have you started thinking about your team for this year and the lineup that you might have?
The fortunate thing is I don't have to make out the lineup, so I just have to prepare the guys for the man who does, and we'll do everything we can to to help him get to know his players.
All right, Getty. Well, we'll get to some of the audience submitted questions in just a moment. Hey, Mike Montville, what was your first season like working with the Aaa team, and how did you learn from it? How did you grow, and how does that help you prepare for your second year here?
Well, it definitely helped to have Getty and Abby and all those guys who have been around with a lot more experience than I've had. So that made my introduction to it a lot easier and the transition smoother. And I obviously based on, because of what was going on with all the COVID situation last year, I didn't even get down to spring training. So my first month or so was just getting to know guys, getting a feel for everything, and just trying to build those relationships. But I mean, I was just glad I had the people around me that I did, because it just made it so much easier for me. So now being a little more comfortable with how things work, and knowing some of the players, I just think it's just going to keep building on what we did last year, because I think it went really well.
And where are you coming to us from, by the way?
Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We're getting, I think, just as much snow right now. So
enjoy the snow day at home with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Abby, tell us about your off season and fill us in on how things are going out on the West Coast.
Well, we're having some horrible weather right now too. It's a high of 65 at the break of dawn. A little overcast today, but should be able to get in 18 holes a little bit later. But yeah, no, it's off season's been good. Do golf trips here and there, and pitching lessons, and just chomping at the bit to get back to work. It's that time of year where as soon as the new year hits, that the time is around, the spring's around the corner, and it's upon us. So I'm getting excited.
There are going to be, theoretically, and we can't know for sure what a roster is going to look like at this point. And as we've discussed earlier, there are certain players I know at this moment you can discuss, certain players you can't discuss. But regardless of who ends up in your rotation and in your bullpen, there are going to be some really prized young arms that the Red Sox are going to entrust to you this season. Does that make you excited as you get ready to have another year at the AAA level, knowing all the talent that you're going to have available to you and try to develop?
Absolutely. We got a little sample size last year at the end of the season of Josh Mankowski. He was phenomenal. I'm excited for him to be back. Getting Seabold back for a full season, healthy, and seeing what he can do. There's a lot more guys coming, but and then the guy who is probably won't be on time, but is as exciting as anybody we've had the last few years, is Brian Mata. And hopefully he'll be right on schedule, and we can see him sooner than later.
I want to ask the hitting coaches, and then you first, since you've got the floor right now. Polar Park, its first year. At the beginning of the season, it seemed like a hitter's paradise. I think that leveled off a little bit. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but especially those first few homestands, the ball was flying out of there. So as the guy in charge of the pitchers, how did that impact the way that you prepared them?
It was no doubt about it. You know, started with that first month, you know, with our so-called alt site situation, we were, and it was cold, but the ball was still jumping out. The wind, the flagstick was just howling out to right center. And then about June, July, or even maybe a little sooner, it changed, and it was a pretty fair ballpark. I think it still had its alleys down, you know, down the lines and right center, but it's kind of a graveyard out in left center. So, you know, your preparation for the hitters all depends on who's hitting. You can't really change your style or how you're going to attack the guy just because of the ballpark. But you know, it was definitely, there's some outs there are in left center that, you know, you can you know, not be afraid to throw into right-handers as much as in, you know, you would to left-hander in that ballpark.
I'll turn it over to the hitting coaches and ask them to reflect on the way that Polar Park played, what you thought of it as a hitter's park. So for both Getty and for Mike, if you want to take the floor and give us your reflections on Polar Park its first year from a hitter's standpoint.
Well, I think coming from Pawtucket, it was significantly a better place to hit. I thought the infield surface was much faster than it was in Pawtucket. And certainly the ball had carried early in the season. But I think it's a fair ballpark. I think the most important thing is, you know, finding a way to put the ball in play in a place like Worcester. I think the ball carries well, you know, in the alleys, especially to right center field. But more than anything, I thought the most difficult part for us wasn't the fact that we played in what would be a launching pad, if you will, early in the season, was that how pitchers adjust to us and how important it was for us to adjust back to them. When you're playing somebody 6 times a week, they kind of get to know you pretty well. When you start to play somebody 20 to 25 times in a year, they kind of get to know who you are. So I think our guys had to make some adjustments as to learning how to hit, not just show their power.
Mike, do you want to jump in on that?
I mean, Get said it best, but I think at times, like, it helped our right-handed hitters just stay on balls a little better, especially early, because they weren't trying to do too much to pull side of the field. But, you know, then again, some guys blast the balls to left center and they get caught and they get frustrated, but just reminding them that they're doing the right thing when they do that. But no, I mean, obviously it was fun to watch early when we were, you know, when balls are getting launched, but you just got to stick with what you're doing, making sure you're hitting balls hard.
We're going to get to more of your viewer submitted questions here in just a moment. We've got some good ones that I've been seeing come in through the chat. If you've just joined us, you can go into the chat function here on your Zoom and write in a question for each and any one of these coaches. I will get to some of the best here in just a moment. The first thing that I've been instructed that I need to ask, and this is for Getty, have you seen your bobblehead yet? Because we're going to have a Rich Gedman bobblehead giveaway in 2022. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. And if I had, oh my goodness. Here, I can't see it.
There we go.
Wow.
There it is. This will be a keepsake for the ages for the folks lucky enough to get it in 2022.
Oh, that's great. I don't know if you can see the red in my face, but there's some red in my face, and whoever did it did a great job. Oh my goodness.
That is
all right,
awesome.
You can take it off now.
Yeah.
I can only wish to look so good in the uniform.
Is that life size, Getty?
You're funny, Abby. I miss you too.
Here's a question. I'm going to get to some of these questions that have been submitted. This is from George, who had just written in. Jose, have you had a chance to talk with David Ortiz or Pedro Martinez about this year's exciting Hall of Fame announcements for Big Papi? Have you, Jose? Have you had the opportunity to talk with either of those two?
I have not, but I certainly spoke to Alex the other day and told him that if he gets a chance to talk to him, to make sure that he congratulates David from me.
Guys, what was your reaction? I'll throw that out to the entire coaching staff, that David Ortiz was a first ballot inductee into the Hall of Fame. Anybody that wants to go first? I guess, Getty, I'll throw it your way.
Of course, the guy who least likely to talk, you have to ask first, right? Anyways, I having, watched David firsthand, over and over do the things that he did. I mean, he did something in Boston that as a player you would have liked to have had a chance, or would have liked to done. I mean, he was special in all parts of his game, not only as a leader of men, but certainly with the type of hitter he was, just a special guy, and certainly maybe the most clutch guy I've ever seen in the playoffs. It was incredible to watch it, and how many times that he would come up in big situations and do the things that he could do. I'm happy for him. I'm not surprised. And I mean, he's very deserving of being a Hall of Famer, that's for sure.
Abby, you want to weigh in on Big Papi?
Yeah, I think, he can credit me for a little bit of help for him getting there. He's got a couple homers off me. He's probably thinking about, I faced him in AAA as well. And, there's just, those guys are special. And you could see that even back then, I was a little bit older, and he was young. He gave you amazing at bats, even at that level. So he knew that there was something special there, and he just carried it in right when he got to the big with the Twins. And then the Red Sox were fortunate to get him from the Twins, and then the rest is history. But he was, every at bat was a battle. He's a true Hall of Famer.
Here's another question that came in that I'll keep it with you, Abby, to respond to. The question was, will the baseballs in 2022 at AAA be pre-tacked?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not privy to that information. That was it was something that he experimented with last year a little bit. I could see it, though. With them taking away the foreign substances and the strict, harsh penalties they have for guys who are using it, that, when it's going to be 30, 40, 50 degrees early on, that ball's slick. And a lot of the tack is also to help from hitters, preventing them from getting hurt. So I think that it would be wise probably to have some kind of tackiness on there. I think it's still early protocol or prototype, beta form to see how well it'll hold up. But yeah, I think I could see it coming.
From your standpoint, and really anybody else that wants to jump in as well can give a take on this. Once the substance checks began in June last year, and you'd see the pitcher walk off the mound and the umpire would intercept him before he got to the dugout to do the inspection. Once that started, did the way that pitching did pitching change in 2021?
No, I don't think it did. I think that, guys, are always looking for an advantage, but they really didn't see a lot. You saw it with a few guys and drop with their spins on their four-seamers in the big leagues, but I think that for the most part with sliders and breaking balls, there wasn't a big change, and I heard some guys weren't even grabbing the seams because they had so much of that spider tack on the ball that when they took it away, they had to learn how to grip the baseball properly, and that's insane to me. And this is big leaguers, and so you didn't see a big drop off, really. I think it's more just maybe a mental thing. And I know there's slight advantages with some guys, but I don't think it's across the board.
All right, here's a question that just came in that I like. Bat flips. Are you for or against bat flips? And let's see. Chad, you want to jump on and try that one first?
Thought you'd ask me that one.
Yeah. We haven't heard from you for a little while here.
I think that's not a straightforward question. There's a lot of different. It depends on the situation. Depends on, am I for bat flip when you're down 10-0? Like, no, I don't think that's the right time to do that. Like, am I for a bat flip if you hit a home run in the ninth inning to take the lead? Like, there's emotions involved in the game, in all sports. In the game of baseball, there's emotions involved. You do something really special at a special moment, and it takes your emotions take over. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do believe you have to have some feel as a player as to what the scoreboard says, and you're trying to win the game. And if you turn it into an individual moment when your team is getting their butt kicked, that's not the best time to do it. So, two-part answer.
I want Jose
to
have
bat flip.
Oh, go ahead.
I would love to see Getty bat flip back in the day.
Yeah.
He loves it.
I don't know. It's different time.
Jose, in the Caribbean World Series, have you seen a couple of good bat flips after a big home run?
Not only after a big home run, after a single. So it's incredible. To give my perspective on what Chad, and piggybacking on what he said, I think a lot of this comes from the culture of Latin baseball. I think you got to have a little bit of feel for the game as well. And I think respect is everything in the game of baseball. So yes, the kids, can have fun playing the game and show their emotions. But at the same time, you got to have a feel for when you should respect, the opponent. So with that being said, I'm not against it, but you just got to respect your opposing team.
All right. Going to keep going. This was a question from Bob that came in a few moments ago. And this will go, I guess, to our hitting coaches, to Getty and to Mike Montville. From a hitter's standpoint, is there a significant wind effect from the DCU boxes or the giant screen in left field? What was the wind effect that you noticed at Polar Park last season?
I don't know if I'm smart enough to know how the boxes and the screen affected the wind, but I mean, it's definitely there's times when the wind's blowing out and you got to kind of reel guys in a little bit, because it's easy to get really excited when you're up there and the wind's flying out. But as far as where and how the wind's coming from, I don't know if I can get that one figured out.
I'm not a meteorologist either. But one of the things that are really kind of neat is, what I don't understand is, when the wind's blowing out, guys try to hit the ball harder, when actually they could actually hit the ball easier, right? If you find the barrel, it'll go. I don't know. It's just weird that way. I think if you hit it good, sometimes it doesn't matter where you play, whether the wind's blowing in or out. So those are the things we got to really focus on, not how far they go. I think Harold Bain said it best, and somebody asked him if he hit a home run and did he get it? He said, yeah, evidently. So it doesn't matter whether it goes 1 foot over, it goes 100 feet over.
This is as we start looking forward to the 2022 season. I know that you spend so much time together as a coaching staff, from the time you get to spring training at Fort Myers to the time that the final game is played at the end of September, or even last year at the beginning of October. How do you guys go about formulating that bond? I know that Chad said you guys have had some text chains going, but how do you go about trying to create the bond that you need to survive that 7-month gauntlet where you're going to spend pretty much every day together?
I think I'll start with that. I think what you just said, it kind of happens organically, right? You spend every day with a group of people. You're going to get to know them fairly quickly. That's the part I'm looking forward to. Like, these guys have been great, and we've had some good conversations. We just haven't got to spend a lot of time in person. When you spend time in person, face to face with people, then it really happens organically. And there's other things you can do. Like, hopefully our group will go out and grab a bite to eat together, and I'm sure we'll gather in spring training and get together as a group and talk about, advanced reporting and preparation for a team and how we want to do that and what information we want and all those types of things. And when you get involved in that, the back and forth starts going, and kind of organically, you become a tight knit group. So that'll happen.
Anybody else want to talk about how you try to make friends? Jose, are you looking forward to getting here and meeting these guys?
Definitely. I already told Chad that he's going to get a chance to coach third base like the first 2 months of the season while he stays cold over there. So I'm going to keep my Puerto Rican butt in the dugout until he
You can
starts
get
getting
a
a
pack
little bit warm.
You can get a box of hand and toe warmers on Amazon for
Yeah.
$30. Did you know that? I looked it up yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Abby, I know you were jumping in there for a second.
No, I was just going to say, obviously Mike and Getty and I have, a season under our belt. Getty and I came into the organization at the same time in 11. And, but, getting to know Jose and Chad, there's going to be common ground, common bonds that we already have, from people we ran across that we know. And I'm excited for that part of it because, baseball is a special group, a special community. And I enjoy the history of the game, and, come up through the minor leagues. Chad's dad was a manager when I was playing against me in the minor leagues and in the big leagues, so I'm excited just to hear stories and their journey and how they came about and their pathway to getting to where we are. And that's a fun part of the game.
I think a good way to wrap this up is kind of talk about what's to come. We're all waiting on pins and needles to figure out what the labor situation is going to be. But as I said right at the beginning, it's all systems go for the minor league season to begin on time in early April, regardless of what happens with the major league teams. So as you guys understand it, what's the plan for you in the immediate future in February and getting ready, hopefully, to go to spring training? What's your understanding of where we stand right now as it pertains to the minor league and the player development side?
I think it's, at the moment, there's still some uncertainty to it. I won't speak for everybody, or maybe I will, but I just think right now it's what we always do. This group's used to right around Valentine's Day, right? Like, here we go. It's time for baseball. My mindset just continues to be, with my family, is just be ready for me to leave around Valentine's Day, like usual, or right around that date, that weekend. Because as you said, the minors will go on, and exactly what the plan is, or who will be there, who we will be working with at that time, we'll figure that out. But right now, it's just, I think it's always better to plan for what you know, and if you adjust and it moves back, whatever. But I'm just planning on being ready to go mid-February.
Is that your mentality too, Getty?
I think that's fair. The neat part is somehow these labor negotiations get done. It's better that we don't hear much about it, that they're taking care of what they need to do, and we'll be ready when they call on us to do what we have to do. So I'm confident they'll get that done. And like Chad said, that we'll probably be heading down there probably mid-February, getting this ball rolling.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I could keep going with you guys for an hour, but it's so good to see all of you. We want to welcome again Chad and Jose to the Red Sox organization, and can't wait to get them at Polar Park for the first time. And Getty and Mike and Abby, we can't wait to see your smiling faces again for another season here. So I can't thank you guys so much enough for coming on. Some of you getting up really early, some of you joining us from other countries. It's been great to bring everybody together for this panel this morning.
Great. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Good luck, Flo.
All right. Thank you, my man.
Good luck, Flo.
We'll see how it goes today.
Get a few wins for us down there, Jose.
We need to.
Okay, so that is, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this. How much fun was that? So as we get ready for the rest of the day, and we've got a very busy schedule, of course, here for our winter weekend, single game tickets for April and May are now on sale. That's the big news this morning. It started at 9 a.m., and that includes tickets for opening day at Polar Park this year. So single game tickets on sale now as of 9 a.m. this morning. You can get them at WooSox.com. That's the easy one-stop shop. Or you can call the box office, 508-500-8888. Again, that's 508-500-8888. And you can get your tickets for April and May, single game, on sale now. Thanks so much for everybody who joined us here. Thank you for your questions. Had a blast getting to meet Chad and Jose for the first time and seeing some familiar faces as well. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching us here on this Meet the Manager and Meet the Coaching Staff session.